In this video, I'm going to give you key must-know tips for studying in Japan from me and 10 other creators.
And if you don't know these tips, you could be wasting your time and money coming here, when you really should be focused on
Whether you're an exchange student, language student, or wanting to graduate and live here, I got you with these tips. And one of these tips is a way to come to Japan totally for free. One thing I wish I would have known before I started studying here.
If you're gonna be in Japan, I highly recommend you getting a train card.
Instead of always buying a little train card every single time you get on the train, you have this card and you just swipe it. You don't want to have to be taking out change and buying a ticket every single time.
But there's quite a few different trade cards. There's the Ikoka, the Suica, the Passmo, and there's like a few others. But please don't be confused with the name. They're just different names because they're run by different companies. The functionality is nearly identical. Almost everything is the same.
And you can use it not just for train fare, but as like a debit card. So you can put up to 20,000 yen on there. And then you can swipe it at the grocery store, at the convenience store to purchase regular day items.
They apply to almost all public transportation, so you can use it for the train, the metro, the bus, and the monorail.
And when you use it for the train, you actually get a 2 yen discount. Now that might not seem like a lot, but if you're gonna be here for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, it actually adds up really, really fast. And it's fairly easy to get. All you have to do is go to any train station and click the English button. It's going to ask you to put in like your name, maybe your birth dates, and then you hit print, about 500 yen. And then after you get that, you can actually add it to your phone using kind of like the Japanese Apple Pay, if that makes sense. And you can just reload it and effectively use it as a debit card. It doesn't get better than that.
So for me, one of the first places I visited and that blew my mind was Don Quixote. I knew before coming to Japan that the dollar stores are crazy, but it still blew my mind. These stores have 9 floors. You want to go grocery shopping? There's food. You want to go costume shopping? Costumes. Skincare, they got you. Shoes, clothes, merch, anything. One of the first places I suggest you visit, especially if you just got there, is Donki. Get a bunch of cheap stuff that you need. Next would be Daiso.
Basically like a dollar store, but Japan version. And they had everything.
I love that store.
I actually went to a language school here where we mainly focus on speaking and understanding Japanese, not really writing kanji or learning how to read it per se. But now I feel confident enough, so I'm actually applying to Tokyo University. And by the end of this video, you'll see whether I got in or not. And talking about reading Japanese, the next 2 tips that are actually help you read and understand Japanese instantly, not as hard as you think.
2 apps that should be. This is wonderful.
Heads up, the majority of people can understand English, but they're not the most fluent. There's definitely a language barrier that exists, but having Google Translate is going to be your best friend.
You can have them speak and it will automatically translate whatever they're saying instantly. It's really great. It will translate any Japanese writing at any time. So I use it to find out what bill I have to pay that month.
Second app that you should have when you go to Japan is Line. It's a text messenger app. If you're looking to make Japanese friends or just text people that are living in Japan in general, I can guarantee you that 99.9% of the population only uses Line to text or make phone calls.
And once you trade QR codes with them, you now have their contact information. You can text them from there, call them from there. Most people don't trade phone numbers. They might think you're trying to sell them something, right? Cell phone numbers are really reserved for bills and appointments, things like that.
Do you speak Japanese?
The quick and easy answer to that is no. I knew the bare minimum to get around. I had this book that showed me some good phrases to know. And yeah, that's pretty much all the Japanese I knew.
No, you don't always need to be fluent in Japanese. My undergrad and my master's programs were all in English. All of the classes, the exams, and the thesis, they were all in English.
Nope, I knew 0 Japanese. goose egg when I came here.
Even now, I have to focus on what people are saying, to understand what they're saying. If they're just coming at me, I'm like, relax. No, relax. Give me a time. Let my brain adjust. It's 5 a.m.
That being said, it is possible to use English for studying here, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to learn Japanese because, you still live in Japan and you face people in real life where you have to speak in Japanese. So while studying here, might as well learn a new language.
Even though they might understand English a little bit because they have to study it in high school, it's a requirement. They aren't comfortable. So if you're speaking in English, they might just freeze up on you and walk away. So it's really important that you know at least some Japanese. You can hold a small basic conversation. You could pay for things, ask for help, ask for directions. Those things go a long way. It's a sign of respect to learn someone else's culture, and part of their culture is their language. If you're here for an extended period of time, why not?
Now, I will say though, the majority of my friends were all foreigners.
I've only have about 3 Japanese friends, and that's after being here a couple of years.
I was living in a dorm with other Sophia University students in the same situation as me, which meant we all arrived at the same time, we all had little to no friends, and we were all so lost and confused.
They put you in an international accommodation type of thing called the iHouse, so you're basically just surrounded by other exchange students.
My 3 Japanese friends have all either studied English or have studied abroad, like in America or in Europe or something like that.
The first few days we all had to get supplies, so we went together. We all had orientation at the same time, so we went together. We all had no idea how the train worked, so we went together.
You also know that you're there because you kind of share the same interests, and maybe you even share the same goals, and you want to get the most out of being there, and you've worked hard to get there.
98% of Japan is Japanese, so it kind of makes sense, right?
I was eating at a restaurant and I went to pay. I didn't know much Japanese, so I didn't know what he was saying, but I handed him a card and he shook his head like this. And he kept saying one word, Genkin, Genkin, Genkin. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but Genkin translates to cash. The restaurant only took cash. I told him I will be right back. And I went all the way back to where I was staying at the time, came back and handed him some cash. Now, if you're going, to Shibuya, Shinjuku, you can pay with card and things like that. The farther you leave Tokyo, especially, only take cash. The ATMs here, they work with MasterCard and Visa and things like that, but depending on your bank, sometimes they won't work. So you have to check with your particular bank to see which ATM will work here. To solve this problem, what I just did is I got a Wise card. And Wise is a company that allows you to transfer your money into any currency, and it works with every single ATM here. So it's easy for me to access my money at all times. So I would recommend you get a Wise card. And also, if you're getting a job here, or if you're getting paid for something, and you have a Wise card, automatically have a Japanese PayPay bank account. It's amazing.
You can come here totally free. You don't have to pay for your apartment. You don't have to pay for your dorm. You don't have to pay for your school, whether it's a university or a language school. You don't have to pay for your transportation sometimes. There are scholarships that will pay for everything, and then they will give you money to study here. They will give you 100,000 to 150,000 yen. I think that's really amazing, and everyone should take full advantage of that.
The Max Scholarship. So this scholarship is a scholarship from the Japanese government, covers all the academic costs, tuition fees, entrance fees. It also includes monthly stipends of around 120 to 140k yen per month. I got it when I was doing my undergrad, and then for the monthly stipend at the time I got 120k yen per month, which was enough for me to cover all my living expenses. It also includes flight tickets, 2 flight tickets from your home country to Japan and from Japan to your home country. And if you got this scholarship, you don't really have to worry about money. you can just focus on your study.
There are schools that will offer individual scholarships. So also make sure you check with your school to see if they have any connections abroad and things like that. They are your number one cheerleader and they'll help you first.
If you happen to apply for a scholarship program that has an interview piece, be aware they may not say it in the actual application or in the actual description, but be prepared. They are probably going to ask you to speak Japanese if you can. I get this question a lot. Do I have to be able to speak Japanese to do the MEC scholarship, for example? Does this hurt my application? It doesn't hurt your application, but if there are two people in the running and the other person does speak Japanese and you don't, they're likely going to go for the other person. I have been ambushed on many occasions where I thought I was just going to talk about my essays and my resumes, and I went in and they were like, "Da, nihongo de yarimashou ka?" I was like, "What? Like, are you kidding me?"
A great way to find a part-time job is through your school.
Either the university as teaching assistants or research assistants, or you can also work outside of the university.
But the problem is the visa is going to limit your job opportunities, and you have to be careful. You have to do jobs within the job category of your visa.
Those jobs include waiting staff, shop assistant, teaching English, office work, factory work, and care provider, caring for little kids or caring for elderly. That's all you can do. You can't do anything else. So there's no dream position here for you. So just be aware of that. And you are limited to working 28 hours a week. There's no full-time, only part-time. Most people only offer you about 20 hours a week. That probably should be enough unless you're a shopping addict. But if you do get a job, I recommend you getting a job off campus. You'll learn how things work. You'll make friends a lot easier that way if you're working with other Japanese people.
One thing that is a no-no in Japan, I don't know where you are from, Japanese people are not religious. But if they were, the number one sin would be lateness. Never be late. That's not a game. Now, it depends on the school. For certain universities, if you're late more than 2 times, you fail the class. I know from my job now, if I show up more than 2 times late for work, if I do it a couple more times, I'm done. But this is the key. If you are late and it's because the train is late, you can get a train ticket, show it to your employer, show it to your teacher, and then they would excuse you because it's not your fault. The train was late. Even if the train is 2 to 3 minutes late, it's not your fault that you walked in late. You would have been here if the train wasn't late. Never open your door, whether it's a dorm or an apartment, for a salesman. They're some of the most aggressive people here. Now, I don't have this problem. Like, I'm a black dude. Most of the people here are scared of me, to be honest. They don't do things to me that they would do to other foreigners. But if you're not, especially if you're a woman, these things could happen to you. Listen to this.
Guy who came to my house was one of those door-to-door salesmen. But he wasn't selling me anything. He was forcing me to subscribe to a monthly fee, even though I don't watch their f***ing channel. So I just assumed he was like a government body asking me whether I own a TV or not, trying to survey whether how many households have TVs. Their house. I'm dumb lah. Okay, I'm dumb. So when he asked me whether or not I had a TV, I said yes. And then he asked me whether or not I used my TV, and I said no. And then he's like, but you use your phone, right? You use your phone to watch NHK programs, right? I'm like, I just came here. I already reiterated to him that I've only been here less than a month. But he wasn't interested in that. He just wanted me to sign the document that would subscribe me to the monthly fee. Okay, no, I'm not going to sign this document, and I'm not going to subscribe to a monthly fee when I didn't even know what NHK was before you came to my house. I'm going to close the door now, like, shitsureshimasu. And he placed his hand on my door like, no, it's against the law. You turn me down again, I might have to report you to authorities because you'll be committing a crime. This is not right. But I don't know the law. I don't know Japanese law. So, as you've already guessed, I ended up signing the contract because all I wanted was for him to let me close my door.
Pay attention to the news, what other Japanese people do when it comes to earthquakes and tsunamis, depending on where you are. It's not a game. There are earthquakes here constantly. I experience an earthquake once every 2 months at least. Sometimes it's a small one and it feels like a little massage, but when you experience a small earthquake, it's probably bigger somewhere else. During orientation at your school, they will show you the procedure or tell you about what to do during an earthquake. Pay attention. It's not a game. When you experience it, follow what other people are doing. That's the easiest way. We want you to stay safe. That should have learned how to read kanji.